Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Fantasy Football Expo podcast series. And once again, we have a newbie. It's like we have so many rookies this year. It's so cool. This is so much fun because getting new people to experience this, it's just, I can't wait. It's always a lot of fun. And then interviewing new people like this gentleman to the right of me, Todd Bailey from Extreme Fantasy Football League. He's coming this time for the first, but he's got this super cool league concept. I'll let him talk about it. But Todd, thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for being an exhibitor this year. We're very excited about you bringing this cool new idea to the fantasy football community. So introduce yourself. Where are you from? What's going on in your life? It's very sunny there, it looks.
It is. Well, I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So go blue and go Lions represent the Honolulu Blue. And I'm a newbie to this expo, but I'm not by any chance new to fantasy football. I've been playing literally maybe even since the 80s, similar to you, Bob.
Yeah.
And I've done I can probably honestly say that I've done every iteration of fantasy football in my life. And I came across a time in 2018 where it was August and I was preparing for my upcoming draft, and the local bar near where I worked. And I sat there and I had the magazines, I had the books, I had the website. I listened to whatever kind of news I could find. You want to find that one little tidbit of something, right, that you can use. But one of the things that in my life, I was a car dealer. And in the car business, you try to overcome objections. Anybody in sales has been taught that. And I sat there and I thought, why am I so bored with this? I've been playing for 30 plus years. And I thought, what is the problem, or what are the problems with it? Right. So I literally jotted down on a napkin. I probably should keep that napkin, but it's gone. But, I jotted down on a napkin on some of the things that made me not excited about playing fantasy football that upcoming season. And I'm typically on 4 or 5 leagues. Back in the 90s and the 2000s, I was really serious. Now I'm getting a little older. It's more like a fun thing for me. But I was a huge Drew Brees fan.
Yeah, me too.
And I always wanted Drew Brees. I'm here in Michigan, Big Ten, Purdue. Yep. He always was a good guy off the field, a good study of the game, kind of like a Peyton Manning kind of thing. You never heard anything really off the field that was bad about him.
Right.
And I had him on my dynasty team, and I decided the year he got hurt with his shoulder in 2005-06 era, I had to make a decision if I wanted to keep him or not. So I decided to keep him, and he went on to do great things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a big fan. So every year I wanted Drew Brees. I didn't care if I got him at the 1-1 pick. I didn't care. Right. I just wanted a guy. Well, there were like 3 years in a row where people literally a pick or two ahead of me got him. So I'm like, this really stinks. I want this guy to do well, but I'm playing against him, so I got to kick his butt, right? So it's like an enemy kind of thing. So I thought, well, how can I fix this? How can I eliminate draft day concerns? And then I got into it, and next minute I had a list of like 12, 13 things. I won't bore you with all of them, but some of the ones that really kind of hit home is I hated the fact that I do my research, paid the money, got the guy I wanted, and then he goes ahead and gets hurt. Right. Pick out Aaron Rodgers last year on the game, right? All that time, energy, and money, and now my star player is hurt. I'm on the waiver wire trying to find somebody, and we all know the rigmarole, and my season is shot.
Right.
So I thought, how can I eliminate long-term injuries? So I figured out how to do that and figure out draft day concerns, took out all those things, and I ran this idea by a few of my friends who were very critical and very experienced fantasy football league players, and I said, does this make sense? This was the fall of 2018, and they all thought great. And I had people from across the country who sat there and got involved in my league. I did it all myself through an Excel spreadsheet and a crappy GoDaddy.com website. to get something online to try it, and it was a huge success.
Nice.
So the way that the EFFL, as I call it, the way the EFFL kind of evolved is all these things I didn't like. For instance, if we have 4 of us playing in a league and team A plays team B and team C plays team D, if A beats B and C beats D, then A and C are 1-0. B and D are 0-1. We understand that. That makes sense. But what happens if B outscored C? Is B better than C? Or is C better than B because C won, but B scored more points? So what I decided to do, okay, my dog's going to bark at me in a second. Stop. Go. So what I thought to do is, in our league, you play every team in your league every single week.
Yeah, nice.
So A would play B, C, and D. So it gives a better perspective of how the team's rankings work.
Gotcha.
So the EFFL was created for all of these mistakes. Now, what makes us really different is we now, in this upcoming season, we play all 18 weeks. And you play all 18 weeks, and there's broken down to 2 9-week halves. And in our leagues, and we have 4 different fantasy football leagues, the different levels and different league structures. Excuse me, league structures. But you can pick any player you want to play any week you want. You just can't play them twice in the same 9-week half. Okay. So as opposed to even having a Drew Brees and enjoying him on my team, if the matchup any particular week wasn't the best, I was like, well, do I play him? Do I not play him? He's a guy I like, but it's not the best matchup. So what happens here is now you have the ability, as all of us who are at this expo, we know football pretty well. And we know the NFL matchups, that maybe Jared Goff is the best quarterback versus the matchups in this particular week. I'm going to pick Jared Goff. Gotcha. I pick him twice in a season, once per 9 weeks. So I'm going to pick him now. The matchup is better. So now you start having more fun because you're watching different players each and every week. It's not a draft. It's players that you get to pick. Gotcha. We have leagues can be as small as 2 people or as many as literally thousands. We can have 1,000 people in any one particular league because you're not picking a draft that I'm not picking players who you don't have. You and I got the exact same players if we wanted to. Right. And it doesn't really matter. But now I just know that I burned my Mahomes in week 1. You still may have him in week 7, and that may be a better matchup. So you played Mahomes in week 7. So I started doing that. And for 5 years, that was what the EFFL was, the Extreme Fantasy Football League was.
That's awesome. No, we'll definitely get deeper into that, but let's go way back. As you mentioned before, you started quite a while ago, like I did in the fantasy football world. So let's take that step back to that beginning for you. What year was it? Who got you involved? How did you hear about fantasy football? Because I know how I did, and it was kind of a unique thing because people don't go to bookstores anymore. Well, they might,
right?
But talk about how you got started, when you got started, and how you got into the fun of fantasy football when it all began for you.
I graduated in 1984 from high school, and it was I can't tell you if it was the senior year or the year after that, but in the 84, 85 range, a bunch of us buddies, we would get together and we thought, let's try this new thing that we heard about. And
how did you hear about it? Do you know?
Honestly, Bob, it's 40 years ago. I don't remember. I hardly remember last week.
So interestingly enough, my friend came home with this book that a guy named Chris Charpentier wrote called Playing Fantasy Football. And it was like a small pamphlet, smaller size paperback. Right. So I don't know if that was if you forgot, you forgot. But
I believe one of my friends, his name is Doug. I believe it was his idea to try this thing.
Right.
So
he found out about it, right?
We would literally get the paper on Monday morning. Right. And we would go through and we're like, oh, oh, okay. Oh, wow. All right. And do it all manually. There wasn't a computer. It was all like a notepad, the spiral bound notebook that we had. There were probably 8 of us that started, and we had progressed. I was with that league kind of as it morphed in from being a redraft into ultimately a 7-keeper dynasty.
Okay.
And then got down to a one player keeper eventually. But then a lot of guys got married and things broke up.
Yeah,
but
sure.
That's kind of how it started with the literal newspaper on Monday morning.
So you already kind of talked a little bit about how that love for fantasy, you said you were deep into it in the 90s, 2000s, and then you kind of got bored with it because you've done everything, right? You've played every genre. You've done dynasty. You've done redraft. You've done auctions. You've done, everything.
PPRs, non-PPRs.
Yeah. And so you created this extreme fantasy football league. Talk about how that became a reality. You now have the site extremeffl.com, where people can go and register and join a league or sign up for a league or create a league. So talk a little bit about the website, talking about how that evolved into that today.
Thank you for that opportunity and that website shout out. So typically on a Sunday, again, I had this cheap GoDaddy.com website, and I only have a little bit of knowledge of website creation, right? Just enough to get me in trouble. So I created this website, and people would go on to the site, and they would put in the players they want, press submit. It would come to me. I would put it in an Excel spreadsheet, do all the data I needed to, back to the website, updated Bob's lineup on the website. And then when the games are over, I would go to whatever data site I would use at different times to get all the data, put it in an Excel spreadsheet, calculate it all up.
And basically doing it by hand, even that long ago. Wow.
It was. So literally I would start at like 7 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning, and I would not be upstairs till like after 10 o'clock at night. I would be gone 15 hours, just be downstairs. So, but it worked. Yeah. And all the things I ever did worked, but I knew that I couldn't sustain a 15-hour Sunday. Yeah, so last year, about this time last year, there's a guy who I met through a business affiliate of mine. And he said, well, I can make you the back end software that you could use, and you can do it. So you won't have to do it yourself.
Right.
So I said, and it would be mine, right? So I'm paying him for this service, and it'd be my software. And he said, yes, it's all yours. So I didn't really push. I kind of slow walked it last year because I didn't really know. I knew this guy for about a year and a half, but I didn't really know his experience. I really didn't know how good he was. So I didn't want to expose the EFFL to bad press, bad things happening. So I kind of slow walked it. And this guy was on point, and he was fantastic. So he's the one that handles all the back end. So literally now, like a regular site, you go to the site, put in your lineup. It's all done automatically. The data, we use sports data IO for all the sports data. So he aggregates all of that into the file, calculates all the scores and all the standings. And it's really that simple. I was so happy that this company came through and allowed me to actually have dinner with my family on Sunday nights, not be stuck. So that's kind of what we did. But one of the things that, and this guy, his name is Dominic, he is not a fantasy football player at all. Never touched it in his life. He's just a programmer, and I love him to death. So I'll call him a geeky nerd. That's what he was. Right?
That's a compliment at this point.
Right. But when he was doing research on the site, he made a comment to me. He says, well, why don't we have a private league? Like in a regular league, people would invite whoever you want to invite. Right. And I said, I don't know. Can we do that? He said, yes. So what we have now on the extremeffl.com are the 4 different iterations of what we call the leagues. We have a private sponsor, we have the platinum, and we have the elite. A private one is what we've all have been used to for all these years.
Right.
You send somebody the link, code, whatever it may be, and you all sign up. And again, we can go as few as 2 or as many as 1,000.
Okay.
And then a sponsor league, we have 5 different sponsors for this year, and each sponsor has a 32 slots. So there's 32 slots available there. So, and the private and the sponsored leagues only cost $25. And again, you're playing all 18 weeks, and then our playoffs are actually week 19 and 20. So if you do go to the playoffs, you're playing a 20-week season for $25. So that's pretty awesome. Now you go to our Platinum League, and that's a $100 league, and that is a singular league. So anybody who wants to play the $100 level is playing everybody in that league. So you could have 1,000 people if you want in that. Again, we truly are unlimited number of people we have in our league.
And then there's a payout to whatever based on the number of players.
Depending on how many people are in it, the payoff is pretty. I mean, I'm not trying to get wealthy on it at this point yet. Right. I want people to really enjoy it and spread the word around. And then we have the the Extreme Elite, which is you have to qualify to get there. You got to have X number of what we call EFFL points based on years of playing, success playing. It's not a monetary. You can't buy points, but you got to have 15 points. If you have 15 points prior to a season, then you're eligible to join the Elite League. And that is we only have one prize at that league. So it's $250 to enter, but only one winner. So that could be a substantial prize.
Sure.
So that's how Dominic and his idea have morphed from what I had in the previous years to the private sponsored Platinum and Elite. But I have a new thing. And you mentioned before we start talking here how I heard about the expo.
Right.
There is a fantasy football writer for football diehards named Reginald James.
Okay.
And Reginald James apparently was just recently nominated for the Fantasy Football Writer of the Year.
Oh, nice.
Through an acquaintance, I don't know, a small world kind of thing. I made a phone call to Reginald. We talked for an hour and a half. And I told him what I have also that I haven't told you yet. And he says, Todd, there is not a single person in the country that I'm aware of offering what you have to offer this. Right. I created a whole new platform, and we call it the Extreme Exchange.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is where it makes fantasy football even different and better.
Okay.
We've all played fantasy sports, and we look at that as being, I'm a coach. I get to pick the players who I want to play on my team that week. Well, going to the Extreme Exchange, you actually become a general manager. Similar to a stock market, everybody who played in 2023 and their stats have tallied up a market value price.
Okay.
And anybody who's an incoming rookie, they have their market value price based on the rounds that they were chosen. Okay. The average player, based on the stats that I have, is right around the $100 market value price.
Okay.
Okay. So you pay $50 and you get become an owner in the Extreme Exchange. You get $1,000 of portfolio money to spend. You can buy anybody you want. Now we understand McCaffrey's going to be the 1-1 in almost every league this year, right?
Right.
But he's $207 in the exchange. So he's more than 1/5 of your budget. So is it
and how many players? 16 players?
You can have 1, 2, 50, doesn't matter. You can pick as many or a few players as you want.
Okay.
Okay. So if you want to have all QBs, you can. There are no restrictions on who you have in your team.
Oh, okay. So there's no starting lineup scenarios?
Nope. You're just buying players.
Okay.
So you have the players. You have a stock market portfolio of football players.
So then their value goes up or down based on their performance. So it's like playing the stock market with your players.
Exactly. Now I'm a smart man, but I'm not that smart. I'm like, well, why hasn't somebody else created this?
Well, so I know there's something called the Jock Market. So it's an app / website. I don't know how they do it, but it's kind of like that.
Okay. Well,
but I don't know how it works. I just know it's based on a stock market thing. But
okay. So,
yeah.
Well, again, if it exists, I haven't found it, and I've scoured the internet looking for it, and Reginald didn't know about it. So it's kind of cool. So now you can sit here and say, I don't have the prices in front of me, but for instance, Aaron Rodgers, because he only played 4 downs last year, has a $20 value.
Okay.
Right. And the lowest anybody can ever get is $10. Okay. So of your $1,000, 20 of it will go to Aaron Rodgers. We're all going to buy him. So his numbers will hopefully go up based on that. So now you get an opportunity to sit here and say, all right, I don't want to buy McCaffrey at $207. He's too much money. Maybe I want to go ahead and do it through a Josh Jacobs and an Aaron Jones. And I want to throw in, Rashawn Johnson, whatever you want to be, right? And maybe those 3 players might have the same kind of price range, but they're going to get more production overall. So you have
and who adjusts the values each week, or is it an algorithm based on?
It's an algorithm already set up.
Okay.
So whatever the value is, and you also can do it. You can do it as minutia as you want. You could, if you wanted to, Bob, you could actually buy a player on Thursday. They could play Thursday. You could sell them Thursday night. You can buy somebody else on Sunday before the 1 o'clock games. Sell them, buy them, sell them, buy. You could do all that in, if you want, 1 week. And when I did it on the 11 person test run 2 years ago, this guy Dominic, who didn't know squat, or he knew squat about fantasy football, he just bought the players that fit into his $1,000 budget, didn't touch it, and he won the league.
Nice.
So this is truly what I feel is going to make the fantasy football different. It's similar to a DFS where you get a salary and you get to buy the players, but at the end of that week, you still own those players. In the DFS, you don't anymore. You got to rebuy them for a different price. So it's different. It is, again, the only one that I've ever seen like this out there. And it allows you to be a general manager. At the end of week 18, we tabulate all of the portfolio values of all the transactions you sell or you buy. And whoever has the highest 4 values get the money. It kind of is that simple. There aren't any playoffs. It's just done.
Right. Yeah. Because you're just trying to see who can create the highest portfolio value.
Right. And it is. And during the podcast that I've been running, and it's the EFFL official podcast and all the normal podcast channels. We've only done 13 now, so it hasn't been a whole lot of them. But my son, who's the producer for the show, he is not a fantasy football league player at all. He played football, but he doesn't really enjoy. He hasn't, at least prior to now, really enjoyed. But he's looking forward to having a exchange team because he thinks that's really, really cool.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a lot of fun. No, this all sounds great. I'm sure a lot of people will be excited about it. And for those of you who are listening, make sure you check this out at extremeffl.com. Of course, all this stuff will start this season, but definitely check it out for sure. So let's talk about, you already kind of told us about how you found out about the expo and you are coming this year. So talk about, you don't live that far away. So obviously it became an easy decision because it's an easy drive, about 3-4 hours. But talk about what you have planned for your booth, for the folks that are coming, you have giveaways. Do you have some ideas, some prizes, some things, special things for people to sign up? Talk about what you got planned for the expo this year.
Well, a couple of things that we're kicking around the idea. In fact, I have an event. I have an old car cruise this Saturday here in town, and we're kind of using this Saturday as will this work at the expo? We're doing a football toss into a big net that had different holes in them or different pockets in them. We don't know the actual space we're going to have to do much, so we're kind of restricted. So whatever it may be, We will have giveaways. We have the beer koozies. We are doing our own swag bags. I know you mentioned us. We could be the swag bag sponsor. We are having our own swag bag, beer koozies, beer openers, swag bag, and then have some sort of a raffle. Not really sure how to do that officially exactly, but when you throw the football into the nets, what we're going to do this weekend is for every throw you get a $5 bill. Every throw you get in the pocket. So again, we're not really sure of the space and how much area we're going to have to work with at the expo. So we're not quite sure of that. And in fact, I might ask you that question. But other than that, we'll probably more trial and error this year. And then next year be able to expand upon what we want with that. But we definitely, I don't do things on the cheap. So we're going to make sure that it's going to be a fun event.
Definitely. No, that sounds awesome. So go ahead with your question. I always like the newbies to ask a question, the rookies, so they kind of, if they don't know about things. So what was your question again? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. The question that I have is, I know we're going to be in booth 27. So that's a shout out to that. So I know the layout, how that works, but how much space do we have to do anything? Are we allowed to put any kind of a graphic or stand on the outside, not outside, but not behind our table, in front of our table? Can we have a spinning?
Yeah, because I've seen people move their table back to the back of the booth and then have it more of they're standing there engaging with the people instead of reaching over a table.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's certainly a possibility if you'd like to do that.
Okay. And then I know that opportunity possibly if it still exists to be the session demo people.
Product demos. Yeah, we call them product demos. Yeah.
Product demo. Okay. So I'm hoping I have one of my other executives from the league that's going to go down with me because my daughter and her boyfriend, who are on my team also, I love them both dearly. But if somebody asks a question, well, should I start Dak Prescott or CJ Stroud this week? They may not know.
They may not know the answer.
They may not know the answer to that question.
Right.
But my executive guy will. So I kind of want to know what to expect and what kind of demo have people done in the past. Is it just like a website thing or what?
It depends on what they're promoting. Some have an app, some have a website. The nice thing is, of course, you can attach a computer to a big screen that you can show. So you can show, your website. If you wanted your programmer to create maybe a demo league so that they can see how they do it, or a demonstration of how, some screenshots or whatever of last year's showing the extreme exchange thing. But it's really there just to demo your product, show off your product, answer questions, especially something new and unique. People are going to be very intrigued. And they're gonna be like, well, how do we do this? And how do we sign up? And, what happens if my player gets hurt before the week's over? Will his value go down? Can I sell him immediately? I mean, there's going to be all those kind of things that people are already going to start, which I already said, I already thought about. And how does that all work? So yeah, it's a great time to have that interaction and engagement with the fans that are there. And again, the cool thing is that people are going to see this video now, know about it, come to your product demo, and then, start asking those questions, see the website, kind of know ahead of time, which is why we do these. But yeah, no, it's a pretty open format, but what the nice thing is you can use your computer and attach it to, it's like a 50-inch or 55 or 70. I don't remember. It's a big screen.
Sure.
But you can show off everything you want, show demos, show videos, whatever you want to create ahead of time. And you've got 30 full minutes to do that.
Nice. Now, I know we're late to the game, so which is wonderful. But hey, we're in the game, so that's
you're in the game, yes, because there's only 7 booths left.
I will be there all 3 days. What do I expect? I think you told me via email that there's the exhibitor hall center, whatever it's going to be, is Saturday and Sunday. What's Friday night? Or Friday?
So Friday night, we have only thing that happens on Friday officially is what we call it our kickoff party, or our Friday night kickoff party, I guess is the best way to describe it. It's right down the street from the DoubleTree Hotel, and it's just a big party. It's called Centennial Plaza, and it's this really nice area downtown. It's got 100-foot TV screen. It might even be bigger than that. It's huge. Okay. And we usually have an exhibition football game. Browns have been on the last couple of years. We usually have a DJ playing music. We have a cornhole tournament in the middle of it. But it's just really for everybody coming in town, shake hands, kiss babies, say hi, introduce themselves. All the newbies get to meet all their the Marcus Grants and Howard Benders, and all these guys get to, people get to meet them. But it's really just just a kind of a kick off the weekend. That's all that's about. There's nothing really any special about it other than just it's a lot of fun, and everybody can kind of get in town, check in, relax, and enjoy 3 to 4 hours there at the party. We're gonna have a cigar bar on the street that we're blocking off the street for those who like cigars like me to hang out and have a cigar. But yeah, it's just kind of a casual get together that night, and then the stuff then starts kicking in Saturday, where we have the 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., which is this sports betting Saturday, but all the booths are open. So people will be either watching, if they're into the sports betting, they can watch the panels. The product demos are also on Saturday. So that's when you would do the product demo. People will just be there for that. And then Fantasy Football Sunday is for 6 hours from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. And it's in this massive 100,000 square foot practice field dome. And so there's plenty of room. You can get 5,000 people in this thing if we wanted to, but it's really nice. It's really cool. It's got an AstroTurf field. It's got, and it's a dome. So you have to go through the spinny doors to get in because of the airlock. So, but it's a really cool venue, and we had it there last year for the first time. Everybody loves it. So we'll be back there again both Saturday and Sunday. So
now, is your event always in Canton, Ohio?
It is, because I live 3 miles away from the Pro Football Hall of Fame and always have. So. Plus, it's nicely centrally located. Sure. It's 6 hours from Chicago. It's 8 hours from New York. It's there's Pittsburgh.
3 hours from Ann Arbor.
Yeah, 3 or 4 hours from Ann Arbor, Toledo, Cincinnati, Nashville.
And the Hall of Fame
big cities
too,
right
which is awesome.
Huh?
And the Hall of Fame is there too, which is
and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You've never been to that? Definitely buy a ticket to go into that. We sell discount tickets on the website. It's I think $43 to get in, but we sell them for $30 because we get a deal on them. So so definitely check that out if you've never been there. And a lot of people do that on Saturday, either early in the morning before the sports betting thing, or a lot of them just stay Sunday night and then go there Monday and then drive back whenever they're done. So a lot of folks do that as well.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. And I am going to try and give a shout out to any of the advice websites who want to take me on, not physically take me on, but take on the EFFL and become the advice engine
there you go.
For our league. I think that would be wonderful, because I know it inside and out, but I don't want to be biased. I'm a big Lions fan, which is finally,
yeah, right, exactly,
come to fruition. So that's about time. But
definitely you should reach out to Tyler Bradley, who of course their site is the Fantasy Football Advice Network, and they are the title sponsors this year, and that's exactly what they are, is an advice site. So definitely Tyler and you should talk, and shout out to Tyler for being our title sponsor this year. So if you have no other questions, Todd, tell everybody again where they can find you on Twitter, they can find you website wise, and then we'll take it out from there.
Well, again, thanks again for Bob for letting me come on here and give a little bit of a spiel here.
Sure.
ExtremeFFL.com. We have 4 different leagues to get into, different price levels, and then we have our Extreme Exchange, which I feel is the only one in the country, which gives you a chance to be a general manager. Way different than anything else out there. Mm-hmm. We are on all the social media things. We're on Although we're just started with the TikTok, the Twitter, Facebook, all the things out there are out there, extremeffl.com. And then we're on a podcast at the EFFL official podcast on all the normal channels.
Love it. Love it. So once again, Todd Bailey, Extreme Fantasy Football League. Todd, thanks again for being on the show. Of course,
Thank you, Bob.
The fantasyfootballexpo.com to get your tickets. We're less than 2 months away. It's only 2 months away. It's really close, guys. My head is starting to explode. So make sure you get your tickets. Make sure you're there. Check everything out. As I hit this button, you all know there's going to be a lot of stuff talking about where you can find all of the Expo information. So for Todd Bailey, I'm Bob Lung, the Fantasy Football Expo. Take care. God bless.
Thanks, Bob.